Good evening, everyone, and very warm welcome to our honorable speakers joining us tonight, our SICI staff members, and all the attendees. And without wasting any time, I would request Dr. Prachi Kaul, Director, Shastri, Indo-Canadian Institute, to open the webinar and begin with the formal program. Over to you, Dr. Kaul.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma, for introducing me here and getting over the moderation of the session. Very warm welcome, everyone, on this Canada Day special series of webinar that Shastri Institute has introduced. This is the first webinar in this series to celebrate Canada Day. And as you have known, the topic is Vision 2020 and Beyond. And here we are talking about higher education and research cooperation between India and Canada. There have been long association between India and Canada on academic and research collaborations. But I would say that there have been major players into it, into building this corridor strong and very, very active. Herein, I would say that the two great democracies of the world have come together, and I have seen the kind of interaction that has happened through only Shastri. I mean, I can closely tell you about the experience at Shastri that it was amazing to see the zeal and the interest of the scholars from both the ends to come together and bring out innovative ideas and thoughts and process it further and take it forward. This is not the first, not the second, I would say, in terms of academics. Every decade the generation changes, and I have seen that the generations of researchers have grown between this wonderful corridor. So this was the idea behind that. If we have to focus on science and technology, or if we have to focus on any other discipline, how to take it forward. And keeping that in mind, two eminent speakers we have invited, and I'm very, very delightful to say that these are the two people who have already committed so much, not just as a scholar, but as an administrator in their respective capacities, to build up international collaboration and cooperation between India and Canada. I warmly welcome Dr. Alejandro Adem. He is president of NSERC Canada, which is a prime agency to, I would say, to manage the research and collaboration in terms of science and engineering. And we have second speaker, Dr. Ashutosh Sharma. He is Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He himself is a scholar. He has served many years as an academician in an institute, but then he is, for last 5 to 6 years, he has been managing the secretaryship at Department of Science and Technology. So both of you, very warm welcome to this webinar. We are very eager to understand from your perspective on this topic. I would also like to welcome our own president of the Institute, Professor Minnie Thomas. She has taken over the presidency last June, and we have a great vision to carry out for the year to come. And she is, along with being serving as a president of the Institute, she is also holding a position of director at National Institute of Technology, Prachi. I would like to invite Dr. Thomas as a president to welcome formally our guest speakers and also the audience who have come live to listen to these two people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Prachi. I welcome everyone to this webinar. Greetings on Canada Day. And I compliment the director of SICI and the staff for starting this webinar series to commemorate Canada Day. I warmly welcome both the speakers, very eminent in their own fields, as academicians as well as administrators at the helm of affairs of science and technology in Canada as well as in India. Dr. Adam, a warm welcome. Thank you for sparing time. And Dr. Ashutosh Sharma, Secretary DST, who is very, very busy, but thank you for sparing time this evening in India for enlightening us. Now, I took over maybe 2 weeks back, as the president in unprecedented times, especially for an institution like SICI, which is in existence for 52 years, with 142 member institutions from India, the top institutions, whether it is engineering or technology or management or humanities or law, for that matter, and 42 institutions from Canada, again, top universities from Canada. Unprecedented times, as we all know, especially because SICI promotes a bunch of programs where faculty and students go on exchange programs. So this is kind of hit by the pandemic, but then we are moving forward with our programs. We just announced our programs for this year, but we included a program specifically for research grants for COVID-related research. So we are moving ahead with our programs because now everything is going online. So we also, for the time being, will be doing our programs online, but hopefully in 2021, we may be able to send and receive scholars from both the countries. As far as the spectrum of SICI is concerned, as I mentioned already, we try to cover all spectrum of studies. Although it was started by two visionary prime ministers of India and Canada, basically to start with humanities and social sciences, but then later on we moved into science and technology and STEM research. And now we try to give funds equally to all spheres of research and studies. And I'm glad we are able to keep that balance. But this session is specifically, since both the speakers are science and technology related areas of work and administration, we'll be looking at the future of research and collaboration, basically in higher education between two great nations of the world. Also, I would like to put forward a thought, because due to the pandemic, we have resource crunches happening everywhere. Same is the case with funding. Primarily, our research funding is only from India for the time being. So we are looking at funding opportunities from other sources this year. That is our one of the primary concerns this year, because we need to keep this collaboration ongoing, and for that we need funding. So in addition to Ministry of Human Resource Development, which is our primary funding agency, we are looking at other government agencies as well as industries, both in India and Canada, and provinces in Canada. And also we are looking at states in India to help SICI, so that this institution, we can take it forward with the same zeal and enthusiasm, and the same programs, and with added programs, we want to take it forward. That is my assurance to all the participants. I welcome the speakers, and my best wishes to all the participants. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the patronage you're giving to SICI. And once again, a warm welcome to each and everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for your sharing here. I would like to invite now Dr. Alejandro Adem, and briefly like to introduce him to the audience as well. Professor Adem was appointed President of the Natural Science and Engineering Research Council of Canada, NSERC, in October 2019. And as a highly accomplished researcher in the field of mathematics and a faculty member at the University of British Columbia, Professor Adem has significant leadership experience in the research and innovation ecosystem. Before joining NSERC, he was Chief Executive Officer and Scientific Director of MITAX. I'm very pleased to share with you, when he was CEO of MITAX, last June, we have signed an agreement with MITAX under his leadership that enables more than 200 students mobility between India and Canada. not just at the level of undergrad, but at the grad level as well. So thank you, Dr. Adam, for your intervention and your interest to collaborate with Shastri Institute. Thank you. As CEO of MyTax, Professor Adem oversaw an unprecedented expansion of its programs with the goal of delivering over 10,000 research-based internships annually across India, across Canada and abroad. And of course, India was part of this international program always. He worked very closely with stakeholders to launch the MyTax Canadian Science Policy Fellowship in 2016, which places talented academics in science policy roles in both federal and at the provincial governments. Other important milestones under his leadership include an Indigenous engagement initiative, an innovative entrepreneurship program, and a number of global mobility agreements with partner countries across the world. Professor Adem, going back to his education, has obtained his PhD at Princeton University and has authored over 70 articles as well as 2 books, delivered over 360 invited research lectures around the world, and has held postdoctoral or visiting positions at Stanford, the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, at Zurich and Bonn and University of Paris and whatnot. So it's a long list that we can speak in terms of his credentials and laurels that he has. He has been honored with and conferred with very many awards as well. To name a few: USA's National Science Foundation Young Investigator Award, Romani Faculty Fellowship, Wisconsin's Alumni Research Foundation, Canada Research Chair at UBC, Fellow of the American Mathematical Society, 10 most influential Hispanic Canadians in 2015, and the Canadian Mathematical Society's Jeffrey William Prize in 2015, and corresponding member of the Mexican Academy of Science in 2017. He has served as director from 2008 to 2014 and deputy director of the Pacific Institute of the Mathematical Sciences. From 1989 to 2004, he was a faculty member at the University of Wisconsin's Madison, USA. He has also served on a variety of scientific, editorial, and governance boards for the worldwide mathematical science community, including the advisory board for the Association of Women in Mathematics and the International Mathematical Union's Committee for Women in Mathematics. So he is promoting women a lot, and that's a good sign for Shastri Institute. Wonderful to have you here, Dr. Adem. I will not take any further time and request you to share your ideas and thoughts. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you to the fellow panelists, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Thomas. It's a pleasure to be here and tell you a little bit about what we do and what we might do together. So as you mentioned, I took the job as president of NSERC, the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, on October 1st, 2019. Our main responsibility is to support the research and training in natural sciences and engineering across Canada. We have around 12,000 professors who receive grants that we support, and around 40,000 students that are supported by NSERC grants. And the areas range, areas like mathematics, chemistry, biology, all the engineerings, statistics, etc. So everything which you could conceive of in natural sciences and engineering. And our programs are 3 different kinds, I would say. We have grants for discovery research, sort of the blue skies, the deep theoretical knowledge that's required for breakthroughs. As we know, breakthroughs are always ideas, new ideas. Then we have scholarships for students, to support students so they can get into the fields, into the areas. And as you know, attracting people into STEM is always one of the top priorities that we have and that our government entrusts us with. And then we have an applied, what we call knowledge mobilization, which are partnerships between academia and industry and not-for-profit organizations. That's a big consolidated program that we have, which is called the Alliance Program. So the idea, the way we see science is as a full spectrum, going from blue skies to practically commercialization. And the funding we receive from the government of Canada is around 1.2 billion Canadian dollars. And our research is meant to make a difference to ordinary Canadians and to people around the world. So that's really what our mission or mandate are. And we have all these different programs to deliver that. Now, Canada is a country that relies very much on its exchanges with the world. Canada is a country that is open, that is receiving people, receiving goods, and also sending people, sending goods abroad. So it's really a country that depends on being part of a robust international global system, and where we have flows of ideas, flows of money, flows of products unimpeded. And in particular, of course, India is a country which has some very traditional ties, some important ties to Canada. We have some very prominent and amazing Indo-Canadians who have leadership positions. And we, of course, also know very much about the tremendous culture of India, which goes back thousands of years. I myself, as a mathematician, which you mentioned, I'm a professor at UBC. Of course, we know the amazing tradition that India has in mathematics, going back to the development of zero, and the Ramanujan, of course, is one of our heroes, one of my personal heroes. So, and as I point out to my Canadian colleagues, India is a scientific technology power, space, nuclear, you name it. India is one of the leading nations of the world. And Canada, of course, is extremely proud of its accomplishments. So right now, Canada is a leader in AI, a leader in a number of areas that over the years. So I think it's a very natural partnership. We can learn a lot from what happens in India, and I think we can also share our experiences. And now for us, one of the most important things at NSERC is, of course, equity, diversity, and inclusion, making sure that we are open, that everyone can benefit from our programs, the accessibility of our programs, and the fact that we want to see a cross-section representative of the Canadian population participating and benefiting from our programs is a key thing. As you know, you may not be able to tell it from this panel, but we are challenged in terms of representation of women in STEM, for example. Mathematics is a big issue, areas like physics, etc. But also in Canada, more broadly, we have issues with the representation of our Indigenous population that really should be participating much more. And these are issues that we seek to address. We also have a very vigorous program in promotion of science, because promoting science to the population, creating the figure of the citizen scientist is, of course, extremely important for us and for the government. Now, soon after I started this position, we were hit by the pandemic. And I'm very proud as to how the government of Canada and NSERC and the other science councils in Canada have stepped up to fund research, rapid response research on COVID-19. We in particular designated $50 million for rapid response on technologies for responding to COVID-19, and we've received hundreds of proposals in a very short period of time. And these are cooperations involving industry and academics to deal with these problems. And there have also been measures of relief for students, postdocs, labs, university hospitals. So the two packages are over 700 million Canadian dollars for relief for our sector. And the message I sent to the researchers in Canada and around the world is we want to support you, do your research, keep on working. All these areas are important, whether it be quantum physics, climate change, et cetera, et cetera. We have to keep on doing it because science will get us out of the pandemic. And that is really what we have to rely on. Now, I do want to mention, in terms of India, I think there has been some very productive, very constructive relationships in the past. flows of people, what was mentioned by our colleague from the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute. And I say I really want to congratulate you and for the work you've done. It's really a reference point for collaborations between Canada and India. And it was a pleasure for me to visit. I was there in, was it 2018, I believe? And as you mentioned, MyTax has signed a student mobility agreement with SICI, and of course with the participation of the government of India, and sending students to Canada and from Canada to India. This is really what we want to see, because it's the people-to-people interactions that really make a difference. I've met many of the Indian students who have come to Canada. I myself have a PhD student working with me who is from India. So, and I have at least 4 colleagues at BBC in my own department who were trained in India, who are very prominent mathematicians. So I know the incredible strength of the two systems. So I think what we should do is work at methods to expand that collaboration. As you mentioned, the two biggest, India is the biggest democracy in the world. Canada is also a democracy, and we have natural complementarity. We have lots of land, right? You have lots of people. So that's, I think we can work something out. And the government created in 2018 some new streams of funding. There's a particular stream called the New Frontiers in Research Fund. And these are under the supervision of the Canada Research Coordinating Committee, of which I am currently the vice chair. So, we are looking for mechanisms and ideas for collaborations between Canada and the rest of the world. We've had some ideas working with the European Union and other partners, and I think India would be an important player. There is, of course, the Joint Working Group and the Committee on Science and Technology, which has been established for a long time, seeking to create those partnerships, and also industry. I know it's very important to connect the industries. They want company-to-company interactions, I think, is the ultimate goal, a lot of which involves technology, the high-tech sector, and areas, of course, which are of interest to Canada and to India. There are many of them, I would think. Anything in the high-tech sector, AI. Canada's also very strong in the quantum technologies, quantum security. Clean tech is, of course, also an important one. And we're interested in discussions about sustainability, plastics, antimicrobial resistance, et cetera, et cetera. So we may have said enough, and I look forward to hearing from Dr. Sharma and the others who may have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adem. It was wonderful to understand the priority areas of Government of Canada and, of course, of INSERV. I would like to also share with all of you, those who are in the audience, that Dr. Adem also is serving as a member of Joint Working Group between India and Canada on Science and Technology. And the other speaker, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Ashutosh Sharma, is also chairing that JWG on Science and Technology. So they are the most, I would say, relevant people to conceive the idea on this corridor and take it, process it through different organizations and different people to make it workable and be more effective. So having both of them here is really, really, I would say, adding value to this webinar, because it is going to be really, really constructive ideas that are going to flow in during the session. So thank you, Dr. Adem, once again, and we will take the reflections from the other speakers, and then there are going to be a couple of questions that will be taken up towards the end of the webinar. But thank you once again for your talk. With this, I come to Dr. Ashutosh Sharma. I would like to invite him to share his thoughts as well. Before that, I would like to introduce him. And Dr. Sharma, as everyone knows, that is the Secretary to the Government of India since January 2015, heading the Department of Science and Technology, where he helped initiate several new programs related to infrastructure and human capacity building, innovation and startups, research and development in advanced manufacturing, waste processing, clean energy, and cyber physical systems, industry academia cooperation, science communication, women scientists, and major international collaboration in the areas of priority for the nation. Sir, very warm welcome to you. I have, in my knowledge, I have never seen such a long-serving secretary. So congratulations for holding very high on this position, because it's a challenging task. And we all understand that you have been delivering some wonderful work, and that's why you are there, still continuing very strong. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Sharma, Dr. Sharma received his PhD from the State University of New York at Buffalo, and his MS from the Pennsylvania State University, and BTech from IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur in 1982. He has been a professor, an institute chair professor, and the head of the Department of Chemical Engineering, and the founding coordinator of Nanosciences Center and Advanced Imaging Center at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. So along with being an administrator, such a senior administrator, he has a background, wonderful research that he has contributed to this area of specialization. Dr. Sherpa's research contributions are highly interdisciplinary.
So can I come in now? Because I don't know if people want to hear more of this. So I'm all right if we spend a little bit more time on our dialogue together.
Okay, all right.
So I'm so delighted.
I invite you to speak on them. Yeah, we can refer your bios.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaul. Appreciate it. It's so delightful to have Dr. Adem and also Dr. Minnie Thomas with us. And all the friends. Namaskar to all the friends. Good morning to people in Canada. Good evening to all the people sitting here in India. As Dr. Adem pointed out, that indeed cooperation with Canada has been very effective and it's been very long. In fact, my memory of my first neighbor when I was 5 years old was a Canadian engineer working on this nuclear plant together with my dad, who was a civil engineer. So this is the first time I saw a Ford car in middle of nowhere in India in the early 60s. And it had a very big impression on me. And then much later, I even taught a 3-month course in University of Western Ontario. But I did that in 3 weeks because that's all the time I had. And they were very flexible, very kind. And they said, okay, you can teach in 3 weeks, summer, the entire course. So we were doing 2-3 hours a day. And it was a totally enjoyable experience. And so, our partnership has been very strong on many fronts. And so we all know that the Shastri Indo-Canadian Center has been bringing great value to this partnership. Also having social sciences in there is very compelling idea. In fact, we want to bring together the natural sciences, the social sciences, even humanities, performing arts. Why not? I mean, the science is everywhere, right? And we just divided them in too many different cross sections. But I think it's time that we get back to basics and see how we can be truly interdisciplinary, not just in lip service, but really we get down to it and do it. And I think Shastri Institute can play a very big role in that process. Of course, I was also in Buffalo. So I got all my groceries from Toronto every weekend, right? And so it was so wonderful because Canadian cities are a little bit different from American cities, as we know, even though they're very close to the border, it is totally enjoyable. So we have lots of bilateral programs, of course, with Canada. And these are, of course, impacts. IC impacts have been doing a lot of work in that in science and technology. I recall so many meetings with IC impacts. And it's always been very amazing because this is science which is related to people. It's related to society. It's about green buildings, smart cities, surviving during fires, integrated water management, sustainable infrastructure, whole lot of things related to sustainable development goals. So all of that, I think, can be scaled up without any problem, bringing
Vicky, is there any issue with Dr. Sharma's end?
Yes, because I think we all are visible to each other. We can hear each other. I think his connection was a little bit in and out. Yeah, sure. I can connect with his team. Yes, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just connecting.
Maybe we can, should we take some questions for Dr. Adam if there is a disruption with Dr. Sharma?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah.
Because I think he is not there. He has to reconnect.
Yeah. I'm just going through the questions that we have already received and the questions that were sent to us by...
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Yeah. Okay. Welcome back, sir.
Oh, so I'm so sorry. It caused me so much anxiety, and we don't know what happened. So I was trying to connect with another server, another connection. So this might happen again. Today has been a very strange day. It's a good thing we are not celebrating Canada Day today.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, his team member just notified us as well. Sorry about that.
I can say a few words about the IC Impacts. So that's a great collaboration between India and Canada. It was started as a network of centers of excellence, and it has done some fantastic work in mostly in engineering, developing technology that is, I think, of specific use for people in India and in Canada. So it's interesting. I'm aware of technology for paving roads. Their director, what's his name, Nemi Bantia, he showed it, he explained that to me, and I think it has application to rural settings, both in India and in Canada and some of the First Nation reserves. And there has been a considerable funding for that program. And it's a model that really brings together the best of both countries, but focused on delivering technology that makes a difference. We're just talking about IC Impacts.
Yeah, of course, you have been involved in it. So you know all about it. And it's been a very good experience working with them. Of course, DST is Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, has been working on industrial R&D with National Research Council, Canada, and supporting projects in clean technology, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, artificial intelligence, and IoT. Now, this is something that I want to tell you that in last 3 years, we started several new large-scale missions. One of them is a supercomputing mission, started about 3 years ago, and they even started making some supercomputers in India. So the first 6 supercomputers, they are basically about 10 petaflop around their range. They are being manufactured in India and being set up. This mission is worth about more than $500 million. I don't know what Canadian dollar looks like now, but okay, some standard US dollar, right, about $500 million. But we must remember that $1 billion in India is really worth about $3 billion elsewhere because of what you can buy with them, especially the human resources and so on. So another mission that we started last year is on cyber physical systems, which, as we know, is artificial intelligence, machine learning, Industry 4.0, autonomous machines, everything that works with communication, computing, decision making, sensors, actuators, and stuff. So that mission is also about $500 million. The third mission, which is coming up now, is quantum science and quantum technologies, which is quantum, not just computing, which I think is a long shot, but quantum communication, quantum devices, quantum algorithms, hybrid systems, and the quantum sensors and so on. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to start some new streams of collaboration. This mission is worth about $1 billion. So very ambitious for India. And I think that this would do great things. So all of these tracks, which are supercomputing, cyber physical systems, and quantum technologies, I think there are many ways for us to work together, have exchange of people. And these missions have very special architecture. So they can make MOUs with any foreign entity. It's a little bit arm's length from the government, which is me, because we understand our limitations in terms of speed and in terms of, new vision and stuff. So, so the whole point is that the mission is driven by scientists, industry. So industry is a big partner in any of these missions, and other organizations and so on, with a lot of flexibility. So we should get back on it a little bit more and see how can we do more things in it. Of course, clean technology and stuff that's been happening. Other thing you see is about science communication. So we can perhaps learn from each other. We are not so strong in science communication in India. We started a new program. It's called AVSR, with an acronym, and I don't remember the full form. Anyway, you make an acronym that looks attractive, and then you expand it, whatever. Whole point is we want PhD students to write a popular science article based on their research. So we got 5,000 PhD students to write it last year. And it's been a great success because people are very excited. And the top 100 stories, they get some awards and stuff. And they get published in magazines and newspapers and so on. So it brings a lot of value to the people who write these articles, not so much to people who read it. Of course, they learn something. But if 5,000 students, if they write a popular science article, they need to relate their research to larger concerns of science and society. And that's a hugely learning experience. We want to make it mandatory for everybody who receive a project grant, or if they receive support from us, any kind of fellowship, that they, during PhD and postdoc, they need to write at least one popular science article. And so I think this would become a huge movement, if you would. And we run workshops for effective writing, effective popular science writing, but also scientific writing for PhDs students. There's an OTT channel that we started 2 years ago. This is Internet TV, which is basically India Science. And a whole lot of stuff, in fact, the stuff which is happening in the time of virus, there is a 20-minute program every day, a new program which tells about what's happening about virus, everything, the roundup from around the world, and what people need to know. And so basically that there are lots of interesting things happening in India, science, technology, and we just need to explore more to see what the synergies are, what can we learn, how can we cooperate more. Because indeed, Canada remains a preferred destination for our scientists, for our students. More and more, I see, it's been changing in the last 20 years. And I think the potential is really infinite. I'm saying that to a mathematician who knows infinity a little bit better than I do, but I think that there's a huge potential there, which we could tap. There have been many, I understand there are 300 institutional MOUs between Canadian and Indian higher education institutions with exchange programs, and that's doing well. MyTex is doing well. Shastri Institute is doing great. So we just have to harness, leverage more of what we got there. There are other programs that I can tell you. For example, we started a program It's called Vajra, which basically together with another program, GAN. So GAN is for overseas faculty visiting Indian institutions and giving lectures there. The Vajra program is for people, good scientists, to come in and set up a shop here for research. So co-advising PhD students and spending 2 or 3 months a year here in India. But even when they are not here, they continue to have remote collaboration, and they continue to co-guide PhD students. And we also support these PhD students to spend maybe 1 year in the collaborators lab. So it's all paid. So you have a lab here, and you also have people working with you. So I think this is a way to have a very deep-rooted research cooperation. And so I would encourage more Canadian faculty and students to explore that option. As an adjunct professor, while being here a distinguished professor, but more importantly, that this is a continuous commitment to our research and teaching. We have had about 100 professors from abroad under this program in last couple of years. I don't recall if there were too many from Canada, but we certainly welcome that. I think the bulk of them came from your neighbor, just south of you, from US, and very, very good programs have started with this. So we should, take all the themes that we have in which we want to cooperate. For example, quantum, for example, cyber physical, for example, supercomputing and applications. And then we encourage people who are working in these areas to perhaps explore the Vajra program, because it's not just, one time. I mean, that this really would bring in very deep foundations for a sustainable research together with Canadian and Indian partner. So I just want to wish everybody all the best going forward with this collaboration, cooperation, to bring in more energy into this, to bring in more younger people into this. I'm not saying young people because nobody is old in this world, but there are young people like me and younger people, right? And I think we should welcome all of them with great interest, new opportunities. And I see so many of them on the horizon that I'm very positive about this happening more. So thank you very much. Let us know your ideas and thoughts about how we can do it better.
Prachi, you're on mute. Hi.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sharma, for your wonderful insights and quite encouraging. And when we have encouraging words coming in from seniors like you and superiors like you, it helps us and motivates us to do better and always go on improving upon. And I look forward to have more constructive suggestion from your side that can go into our MOU with Government of India, and of course, further collaboration that can be formed between DST and MHRD, how we can take it further in terms of greater collaboration with Canadian universities and institutions. So thank you for bringing in.
And one point I forgot was about diversity, inclusion was very well said by Dr. Adem.
Yeah.
So we have a very new, very compelling program, very strong program, which basically addresses the fact that we have too few women in certain areas of technology and engineering in the top institutes. And Dr. Minnie Thomas knows all about it. So we want actually right now, if you look at IITs, NITs, and if you look at technology areas, not just basic sciences, and look at the hard areas like mechanical engineering and so on, they are less than 10% women. And when I was an undergrad in IITs 40 years ago, they were 4%. So it has taken 40 years of march from 4% to 10%. At this rate, we are not going very far. So there has to be a disruptive way of handling this. No more leapfrogging, but pole vaulting. And so we have a program of that kind. We don't have time to talk about it now because equally about training, but it's equally about culture. It's about not only just training these girls in high school, but also training their parents and teachers. And this program is going to take care of all of this. If there is a financial constraint, we'll take care of that, and a whole lot of other things. So it's a multi-dimensional, very holistic program that I would be happy to share with you. It's called Vigyan Jyoti, right, and is starting this year. Hopefully, we are out of this COVID time sooner than later. Then we can do, what we need to do about this. But our goal is to have 35% women within the next 5 years in the top technology colleges in underrepresented areas. So there is a next gen leadership in technology and role models. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry I jumped in there when you were going to conclude. Hey, but it's a friendly chat. So,
No.
okay, right. Thank you.
It was a very important aspect that you have highlighted, and we have talked about informally before beginning of this session about the gender perspective in science and technology and engineering. And you have rightly pointed out that we have to go longer way, but it has to be expedited. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve what we have dreamt of. So thank you, Dr. Sharma, again for your time here and sharing your thoughts and opinions about this wonderful corridor between India and Canada. We have little time if any of the speakers would like to reflect upon what have been said till now during this session. So Dr. Adam, Dr. Thomas, and Dr. Sharma, if you want to reflect upon anybody's point, anybody's talk, you're free to do now. Yeah.
Very well. I want to thank the speakers for what they said, and Dr. Sharma, thank you very much for that overview. I would be interested in hearing more details about some of those programs that you mentioned. If you could send it to me, I think it's very fertile areas, very fertile collaborations that we can do. I think, as you know, in government, we just have to find the mechanisms, the levers to unleash the funding so that then the researchers and the students can do all the good stuff, right? And the companies, of course, because they're involved in that. So I look forward then to learning more about those specific programs, and also we'll be happy to share our work in promotion of science. For example, the Promo Science is a big program that we run nationally. And I was very interested in your remarks about the diversity and the aspects of culture and the parents, because I agree that's a very important, that has to be addressed in a holistic and kind of universal way. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to hearing more about that and seeing how we can learn from each other, and not in a transactional way, but really as partners, ongoing partners to the both countries, the progress they want to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I was just thinking about your COVID, the special projects that you have for COVID-19. We also started special projects just about two and a half months ago on COVID-19 projects. And I was just wondering if we could possibly exchange the list of these projects in case they want to work together. I mean, it doesn't require any additional money. It's just basically pairing up people if they want to. So if we can send you a list of these special COVID-19 projects and what they are doing and who are these people, and then you have a similar list. If they are looking at similar things and they want to cooperate, the cooperation may be just academic cooperation, doesn't need money right now. It's just getting people together so they can discuss things and exchange ideas. And of course, if they have something good going, then we can think about supporting it. So it's like matchmaking, right? And that can be done very quickly. And we have done it with US, and we have done it with France. So there is a model, right? People they are very keen to get in touch with whoever would share their interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would be really happy to facilitate here. Shastri can mediate here and bring the two parties together. So if we have listing of DST available with us and listing of NSERC people who are working on these particular areas. We would be happy to provide a platform for collaboration.
Of course, a whole lot of it is also driven by startups, tech startups. So there's another thing that I don't know if it's a mandate of, I don't know, it's certainly not mandate of Shastri Institute, right? To look on startups. But anyway, or Research Council, okay. So there are, for example, there are about 2,000 technology startups in the incubators that we have set up, about 130 incubators across the country. And we could map very quickly about the products and technologies they have for COVID-19. In fact, it's so heartening. Let me tell you, 3 months ago, all the ventilators in India were being imported. And we could have made them 10 years ago. It's just that there was no big push, right? But now this virus gave us a push. So these startups and the industry and academia are working together because there was nothing available for imports, right? So they came up with, well, the world-class models at half the cost, and they are being manufactured now. In fact, with a lot of innovations, because you see, it's been a static market, so there are not too much innovation. But once you design something today, it's going to look like a different design than what happened 10 years ago. And so you bring in IoT, you bring in artificial intelligence, you bring all of that stuff there, and even better designs than were available before. So it's just an example. So if we wanted to have startups working together, even that's possible. In fact, we had I remember when I had a visit to Canada, I think a few years ago, we had visited an incubator there. I think it was in Toronto. This was some university, a private university, which is fairly big.
Was it Ryerson University, Dr. Sharma?
Which one? Which one?
Was it Ryerson University?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, Ryerson. So we had some workings with this Ryerson University at that time. I don't know if it's still continuing, but yeah, I mean, startups working together is another great idea. Whichever agency on Canadian side would like to pick it up. Certainly, academic collaborations are right there. Those are low-hanging fruits, in a sense, because professors are always happy to work with other professors, and it doesn't, take too much actually to do it.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. And I'm really pleased to share with you that we are working with Ryerson on a startup and incubators right now. And we are hoping that by the time we would be renewing our MOU with Government of India, with MHRD, there would be another provision that would be enabling this kind of collaboration. So I'll soon share with the plan that we have in store and that we are proposing to government.
You see, so there are two things here. It's a very good to get synergy between DST and MHRD on it, because most of these incubators are in MHRD institutions, but they are funded by DST. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, either way you look at it, is great to have both of this working together. More importantly with DST, because anyway, these incubators, they are governed by the institutions which are autonomous. So as long as institutions are on board with you, and you have the funding for startups, then you're all set to rock and roll.
Perfect. Dr. Thomas, do you have any reflections here?
Thank you. I just would like to thank Dr. Adam and Dr. Sharma. Lot of inputs, lot of insights into what is possible, even for SICI and for joint research. I think we'll be very happy to help the collaboration move further. Thank you so much.
And from my side, I think I can conclude by saying that we have two takeaway points from here. First is to have to start working on collaboration that is right now going on, and as well as the experts, those who are working on COVID-19 programs or projects from India side and Canada side. So we would certainly be following up on that with two agencies like NSERC and DST. Along with that, we will also be exploring, as I said, that Ryerson University is one of the world's best university in terms of promoting startups and incubating the ideas. So we are already in conversation. It's 6 months that we have been working on this program, and soon we plan to deliver it. So we will be in touch with Department of Science and Technology, as well as with MHRD, to discuss the idea and how we can also take along this wonderful thought that Dr. Sharma has just shared. There are many questions that are coming in, and some scholars have already sent their questions through email. I fear if we would be able to take them, but there are a couple of questions. Dr. Adem, would it be fine with you if your office can be communicated about these questions, and if they can sort these out and send it to relevant people at NSERC, because I don't think it would be possible for you to answer all these at this forum right now. Will that be fine with you?
Yeah.
You have to unmute yourself, Dr. Adem.
Yeah, send them along. As long as there aren't hundreds of questions, I'm saying, you know, staff will consolidate them into some streams where they can provide some information.
All right. So yeah, I'm not going to read out them, but these questions are primarily were flowing in, and I could see that some of them were very well answered by both the speakers in their while they were speaking. So there's no need to talk about it. But there are a couple of questions that were sent to us earlier, like for research in renewable energy and its application, how much opportunity is there in Canada, and in which category doctoral research can be done. So these are generic type of questions. And there's another question that says, do you have any particular number of spots for the Indian students in public research universities in Canada? And if there is funding allowed, does it cover the tuition and living expenses as well? So I can just say that I think there's a fellowship program by Government of India that facilitates this. And 3 universities are part of that network in Canada as well, like UBC, University of Toronto, and I think one more university that's not coming to my mind right now. But for full-time, PhD program or postdoctoral program, Shastri don't have any provision. We just provide scholarships and fellowships for a time being, that can be part of your research for which you can go to Canada, and that is covered by Shastri Institute. It is not based on your request, but it's a competitive program. So you need to apply and compete with hundreds of people to receive it. That is not, I'm not saying this to discourage you, but to make your application up to date and very, very efficiently, because there's no personal interview. So there are questions in this regard, many questions that I don't think are relevant for the speakers to answer. So once again, I think it is time to wind up and convey our greetings on Canada Day. And we are going to have some more webinars in this series, at least 2 more, to hold the talks that can lead Shastri Institute and other institutions and officials in the direction to boost the synergy between the 2 great countries. So thank you once again, all of you, for joining us tonight, and have a great day. Have a good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good morning. Good night to me.
We'll be in
Bye-bye.
touch.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.